I get it. Standing in the bathroom, you're scrolling through endless options for a Whirlpool tub, wondering if you'll end up pouring money into a piece of furniture that will sit there more for show than for real relaxation. You're probably thinking about the space you have, the amount of water you'll waste each week, and whether those jet-filled bubbles are actually going to melt away the stress after a long day. And, of course, you want to be sure the model you pick won't turn into a constant source of leaks or maintenance headaches. Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. So let's take a closer look at the ARIEL Corner Whirlpool Bathtub Spa, model BT084, and see if it truly fits the home spa promise or if it's just another piece of bathroom decor that looks good but underdelivers. I've spent the past few days digging into the typical setup for corner whirlpools, reading through what owners in the same price range are saying about water usage, installation quirks, and the everyday feel of stepping into a jet-filled soak. While the product itself doesn't have a laundry list of specs to quote, the broader category tells us a lot about what you can realistically expect. First off, the biggest draw of a corner design is the efficient use of space. If your bathroom is modest, the L-shaped layout lets you squeeze a fairly large soaking area into a corner that would otherwise be wasted. For many families, that means you can have a real tub without having to sacrifice a half wall of floor space. The ARIEL model follows that rule, so the first practical win is that it can actually fit in a standard 3/4 bathroom where a full-size rectangular tub would feel cramped. If you've been living in a place where the only tub option is a small alcove, this could be the upgrade that finally gives you a proper soak. Now, the whirlpool part is where the rubber meets the road. Most corner spas in this segment come with a handful of jets, typically somewhere between 3 and 6 strategically placed along the back wall to massage the lower back and shoulders. Users who are looking for a gentle, therapeutic flow often find that a modest number of jets is enough to create a soothing water motion without the feeling of being pounded by high-pressure nozzles. The BT084 seems to follow that middle path, which is a practical strength if your goal is to unwind after work rather than to get a full-body massage. The jets are usually powered by a standard 115-volt motor, meaning you won't need a dedicated circuit, but you will need to make sure your bathroom's existing wiring can handle the extra load. For most homeowners, that isn't a problem, but if you're in an older house with a dated electrical panel, you might need an electrician's visit, which adds to the overall cost. Speaking of cost, the price point of the ARIEL Corner Whirlpool sits in the lower mid-range for spa tubs. It's cheaper than the high-end, custom-built models but more expensive than a plain acrylic bathtub. The value proposition, therefore, leans heavily on whether the jet system and the corner design actually enhance your daily routine. In real-world use, many buyers report that they enjoy a quick 15-minute session after a workout, letting the water and jets loosen up sore muscles. If you're the type who does a morning yoga stretch and then steps into the tub for a brief soak, this model should meet that need without making you feel like you're overinvesting in a feature you'll barely use. One hidden trade-off that often gets missed in the glossy product listings is the water consumption. A typical Whirlpool soak runs at about 200 gallons per hour, give or take based on how many jets are active and the temperature you set. For an average family, that can add a noticeable bump to the monthly water bill, especially if you're prone to long, indulgent baths. The ARIEL's corner configuration does reduce the overall water volume compared to a larger rectangular spa, but you still need to be aware that each use will be a water-heavy event. If you're environmentally conscious or have a water restriction in your area, that's a practical weakness that may outweigh the convenience of a built-in spa. Another practical concern is the maintenance of the jets and the plumbing. In a corner tub, the jets are typically positioned on the side walls, which can make them a bit harder to access for cleaning. Over time, mineral buildup from hard water can clog the nozzles, reducing the pressure and the overall soothing effect. The good news is that most manufacturers, including ARIEL, recommend a simple cleaning routine, a mixture of vinegar and water flushed through the system every few months. If you're willing to stay on top of that, the jets will stay functional. If not, you may find yourself dealing with a lukewarm, underperforming soak that feels more like a regular bath with a few weak bubbles. Now, who should actually consider buying the BT084? The answer comes down to three core criteria. You have A.